Welcome everyone to Tales from the 90's, the bonus episode. That's right, I do one of these every month, and my normal podcast, by the way, if the lighting's weird and it makes the video look weird, I'm sorry. But my normal podcast, I pick a month in a year randomly from the 90's and I talk in depth about it. Talk in depth about it. But on the bonus episodes, it can be centered around the 90's or any other time period. And this month, I chose to talk about, I chose to actually rank my top. It's just rank all of the Garth Brooks studio albums. But before I get into that, and hopefully you stick around for that. If you're not a Garth Brooks or a country fan, you probably won't, but that's fine. Sometimes these are specialized and, only certain people would want to listen to it. Like I've done a couple just about my family. Probably not a lot of people, but I mean, if you want to stick around and listen to it, learn some things. Maybe if you were like thinking of listening to Garth Brooks and never have for some reason, this can give you an idea of like my favorite of his albums. And like I said, they're all his albums. It's just I ranked them from. There's 14 studio albums, so that's what I ranked. But anyway, I do want to talk about next month's bonus episode. I don't have a date on it yet, but it'll be March sometime, March of 2026, and it's going to be a series of lists where I rank things. I've done this before, kind of like with food, where I've like ranked my favorite, fast food restaurants, favorite sit-down restaurant, that type of thing. But these are just going to be, and I'm going to add to this probably, but these are like kids' movies from the 90's. I'll put 80's and 90's probably. Yeah, kids' movies from the 80's and 90's. And there's going to be a couple different categories, like the sports movies, because that's one of my favorite things in the 90's are the kids' sports movies. And then there's going to be like the Disney movies, like Lion King and all those. And then there's going to be another category. I don't know if it's going to have a category. It's just going to be, anything that don't fit in that category. Stuff like Three Ninjas or The Indian in the Cupboard, those type of movies. And I may come up with some more categories. If you guys got any suggestions or different categories to put on there, if it's something I liked and watched, I'll rank and just make like a little list of that. And then maybe take the top one of each of those lists and then figure out what is my favorite kids movies from the 80's and 90's. But anyway, that's next month. We're going to start now with Garth Brooks. Now, these are, like I said, the studio albums. I know he has numerous box sets and different greatest hits albums and like stuff like that. But I do want to kind of mention those because they're really good ones. Probably his biggest selling album of all time is Double Live. It came out in '98, I believe, and it's what it says. It's a double CD, double tape, then double CD and tape. But yeah, I believe it was recorded on his I think 95 to 90 or 94 to 97, something like that. Some in that time period. It was after I believe it was after Sevens came out, so some of the stuff was. But anyway, it encompasses his career basically from his first album to the one called Sevens, which is his seventh album. But Garth Brooks has to be experienced live. I've never got the pleasure of getting to see him live yet, but the double live made me feel like I was there. I mean, I have the live versions memorized more than the other ones, I think. He also came out with triple live just a couple years ago. It's a really good collection too, and also has a lot of his songs that were on double live, but they're newer versions. Obviously, it was recorded when after he made his comeback, but also it's got some of his newer stuff. A really good one. And then he has like numerous box sets. I know there's almost a joke like, oh, he's putting out another box set. But I do kind of want to run through those real quick. His first box set was called The Limited Series, where he took his first 6 albums and put them all in a box set. And the really cool thing about that one is he actually added a bonus track to each album, so you get an extra song with it. He didn't do that on any of his other ones, but that one's really cool. And then he came out with the second limited series, which was actually packaged with the Lost Sessions, which was I'll talk about that talk about the Lost Sessions in a little bit because it's actually on my list, and I'll explain why it's on there. Even though Wikipedia lists it as a compilation album, I don't consider it one, but I'll tell you why in a little bit. But then he also had a DVD of that, of like him like doing interviews and a few of his concert, a couple songs from the concerts. And then he came out with a third limited series that was only sold in Bass Pro Shops, and I actually went out and got that like Thanksgiving Day. Me and my wife, we didn't have any plans that day. The kids are all at other people's houses, so we went to Golden Corral for Thanksgiving, but we stopped by Bass Pro Shops and actually picked that up, and it was actually it's his all the albums he's released since his comeback, plus his brand new album called Time Traveler, which is of course on this list. I should mention that the other one I was talking about, the second limited series, had his albums from Scarecrow to like I said, the Lost Sessions, Double Live was in there, and he's also come out with like things like the Legacy Collection, which is all his albums re-released on vinyl, because you know the vinyl trend is in now. I just haven't gotten a record player, or I probably get it. And then he's had his anthology series, which is actually books as he's written and given interviews. He's like interviews like everybody who's involved in the music, whether it's songwriters, producers, his band, session musicians, producers, just all kinds of people. And the really cool thing about that is it includes music. Everybody complains like, oh, it's the same stuff. Well, you're getting the same stuff, yeah, but it's not like he's putting out a new album. You know, do you know anybody that writes a set of five? Because there was 5 of those. And do you know anybody that writes 5 books and then gives you free music with every one? And people are like, oh, we need a new music for this. I mean, come on. He's only human. He can't make, you know, because there's like 5 or 6 discs, depending on which one, with each one. But just like with the limited series, his first anthology set was probably the best, because it included like demos of songs, like well-known songs. That Summer, which is one of my all-time favorite songs I'll talk about a little bit later, there's another version of that song that he'd done first, a demo of it. It's just like, it blew my mind to hear that. And there's songs that he wrote and literally recorded that, you know, that he put in there. There's a couple songs by Trisha Yearwood that he wrote that she recorded. I mean, some really cool stuff you can find on these. There's that one about the first 5 years of his career, and then another one about the next 5 years. There's one, you know, and about him retiring. There's one where there's a couple I haven't actually gotten yet. You know, the ones where he did his comeback tour, and then the last 5 years he had, and then there's actually just a live one where they put out the double and triple live included in that. So, you know, if you don't actually have his music, it's a really cool thing. You get it for free. It's not like you're paying I can't remember how much it costs, but it's comparable to other books. I mean, they're huge books. And then, of course, I got to talk about his greatest hits. He originally didn't want to do a greatest hits because he didn't feel like, you know, he didn't want the fans to feel cheated. Like a lot of people put out greatest hits and they'll put 1 or 2 songs on there to, you know, make you get them, even though all their greatest hits are on previous albums. But the record label pressured him into doing it, so he only put out like 1 million copies of this, and they sold like quickly. I think it was 1 million. Something like that. Maybe it was 2. Maybe I don't know. It might have been 10 million. I don't know. It probably was 10 million. But anyway, after, you know, those were done, they literally the masters of that album, which is called The Hits, it had 18 songs on it, are actually like buried underneath his star on the Walk of Fame, which is really cool. And then while he was retired, he came out with the ultimate. I think it was the Ultimate Hits. It was 2 discs plus a set of videos, which is really cool. You get all his videos, which are kind of hard to find. And then his song "More Than a Memory," I think it was his last number 1, or it came out with that, and it was that's an amazing song. But yeah, he that was that collection, and then there was another collection. I think you could get it through like McDonald's or something. It was called the Garth Brooks collection, and it wasn't a greatest hits, even though it's listed like that on Wikipedia. Some of the songs are hits. Some of the songs weren't even released. It's like 10 songs, 2 from each of his first 5 albums. And then, of course, there's been other box sets. There's a Target box set where it's got the same music, but it's actually put in different order, like on different albums. So it's kind of like their own like little greatest hits albums. And that actually came with his album, The Gunslinger, which I'll talk about here in just a minute. And then I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, the Blame It All on My Roots, which is actually his, before he came back full time, he was doing a Las Vegas residency. He's actually done 2 now. But this one is just him and a guitar and basically telling his life story through music, like some of the songs he grew up on and his parents loved, you know, from whether it's soul music, good old-fashioned classic country music, George Jones type music, all that stuff. And actually came out with like 5 albums of that material. all recorded songs. So you get like 100 new songs from Garth Brooks, even though they're songs that everybody knows. They're still, he hadn't recorded them before. Plus a DVD of the concert, and everybody says, "Oh, he puts out this and this." You trust me, if you go down the Garth Brooks rabbit hole and able to get all his stuff, you are got a ton of material. I've been lucky that I've collected most of it. I got a stack of Garth Brooks CDs. I got multiple ones. Also, I do want to mention his DVD set. It's called The Entertainer. His concerts are legendary. Especially his televised ones. I mean, that first one, I'll get into it a little bit, but yeah, this DVD set has his first special called This Is Garth Brooks. It was an NBC special. And then This Is Garth Brooks 2, the Central Park concert, which was on HBO, which was in front of like over 1 million people in Central Park in New York. I remember we didn't have HBO, so I couldn't watch it, but they actually it was so big, they broadcasted this concert over the radio. I mean, it was that huge of a deal. And then there's one where he's in Ireland, and also some videos on that. But anyway, that's a lot of stuff there to talk about. That's not actually part of this ranking list. But anyway, I took his 14 studio albums, and like I said, I'll get into the one talking about, oh, this ain't a blah blah blah. But coming in at number 14 is Gunslinger. And like I said, just because it's last don't mean I don't like it. But this one came out in 2016, and I'm going to be looking over this way a little bit because I've got notes on this stuff. Along with my personal, thoughts on it, but I wanted to get some of the facts right. Like I said, this is his second album since his comeback. It was released by itself at first, and then also came with a special Walmart bundle with Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood's Christmas album called Christmas Together. Although I also do want to mention I'm not including Christmas albums in the studio albums because it's hard to judge that with regular music. He did have a couple really good Christmas albums. Besides that one, he had it was one called "Call Me Claus" because it was a soundtrack to a movie. I think Whoopi Goldberg was on it. I think he was like a producer of the movie or helped produce or direct or something. But then his very first Christmas album is my favorite, called "Beyond the Season." "Silent Night" is probably the best one on there. Probably the best version of "Silent Night" I've heard. But anyway, it was packaged with that at Walmart, the Gunslinger album. The version I have came with the Target collection, and it actually has some bonus songs on it. Let's see, my favorite song from the album is "Whiskey to Wine." It's a duet with Trisha Yearwood. It's a classic country song that you would, you could hear Tammy Wynette and George Jones do this, or Conway and Loretta. That it feels like a song that came from the 60s or 70s. It is so good. To me, it's probably my favorite of their duets, and I know "In Another's Eyes" is probably a lot of people's favorites, but this one doesn't get enough praise. It's the only Garth Brooks album with multiple songs I don't care for, which is rare, and it's just they're not for me. I didn't even write down what they were. I'm not going to write down what. I'm not saying they're bad songs. It's just I don't listen to them. And it's the only one that's like that. And you got a singer that's gone from 1989 till basically now, and you only got one album in there that, there's the one you don't listen to multiple songs on, But I still listen over half the album, so it's not like it's, just the hits or anything. Which didn't have many hits from it, because radio, of course, not going to play anything from Garth Brooks in 2016, other than a couple times, because even Garth Brooks, as big as he was, he's not a rapper, so he's not going to get played these days. Let's see. It also features a re-recorded version of "Friends in Low Places," it's Garth Brooks and friends. It's Garth Brooks also with some heavy hitters. We've got George Strait, Keith Urban, Jason Aldean, which I don't really care for. Same with Florida Georgia Line, but they're on there too, and they don't mess the song up. They don't start rapping, so it's a really good song. The singles from it were "Baby Let's Lay Down and Dance," which is I remember I think it was like select bags of Lay's chips. You got a free download of this from he had a music service at one time called Ghost Tunes. It's shut down now, but because he's notorious for not allowing his stuff to streaming, because he likes full albums to go out, because he likes the writers and everything to get not just everybody to stream the hits, but and a lot of people don't like that, and it's his preference, his music. I got CDs and put them on computer, so I don't care. But anyway, there's that one was a single, and also "Ask Me How I Know," which is a really good song as well. But like I said, something's got to come in last, and that one was probably the one that deserved the most, just based on the amount of songs that I don't like on it compared to all the other ones. Coming in at number 13, and some of these, it's like man, they're low on the list. Like, I wish they're higher, but they all can't be like top 5. But coming in at number 13 is The Lost Sessions from 2005, and it was certified 3 times platinum. Now, like I said, this is listed as a compilation album on Wikipedia, because the story behind The Lost Sessions is that it, by the way, this came out as a standalone album, or part of the second limited series collection. But anyway, the story behind these songs is they were recorded for his his albums that he released prior to retiring, and they just weren't cut on the album. So that's why they're considered the Lost Sessions. I consider it a full studio album because none of these songs, other than one that I'll talk about, which wasn't even by him, none of these songs had been heard before. It's not like it was, taken from different albums and put onto this one. Nobody had heard these songs, so I consider it, a studio album. But he was still retired at this time, but released that limited series. Like I said, I consider it a studio album. I have both versions of this, but the better one is the standalone that has 6 extra songs. And they're also in a different order than the original one. But yeah, you get 6 extra songs if you buy just the standalone minus, outside of the album one. Probably the biggest song of the album is Good Ride Cowboy, his tribute to Chris Ledoux, which of course became, thanks to Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old, mentioning the line about the worn out tape of Chris Ledoux. He actually became great friends with him, and of course Chris passed away, I think 2005, and that's a tribute song he wrote to him and became a big number 1. A lot of these songs could have been big hits, I think, if he would have recorded them. Allison Miranda is one of those. It's a song. I'm not going to describe every song on here, but you can tell I get excited about talking about Garth Brooks. But it's a song about a guy picking up a girl on the highway, and they end up, kind of falling for each other, and they end up sleeping with each other for the weekend, basically. And then she leaves and leaves him a note. And basically, what it comes down to is she wanted to have a baby, but didn't want a relationship with anybody. So, what's the line? You do not plant a flower, or you can't grow a flower if you don't have a seed. Now I have everything I need. So that pretty much tells you what she used him for. It's kind of like a happy song, but a sad song at the same time. But I haven't heard a song like that before. That's pretty cool. Love Will Always Win was a big duet between him and Trisha Yearwood. One of the power ballads. I love that song. That Girl Is a Cowboy was another single from that, and it's kind of turned on the thing on the head, on the side, cowboys and cowgirls, was saying that, she's more of a cowboy than some of my friends, type of thing. And there's also a great version of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's Fishing in the Dark. Sideways in my chair there. Now I'm all messed up. Technical difficulties. Anyway, yeah, Fishing in the Dark is probably the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's most well-known song, and he does a really good version of that. Coming in at number 12 is Man Against Machine. Came out in 2014 and went to platinum. And it's his first album, during his comeback. The singles from it included People Loving People, which is, kind of in the vein of a We Shall Be Free type song. It's basically saying, the only way that we're going to cure all this, hatred and things going wrong in the world is just people to love people. And if you ask me, that's pretty much true. Mom is his other single. It's a song that you can tell is close to his heart because he definitely, he loved his mom. And my favorites from this one include Cold Like That. There's some songs on this that didn't sound like traditional Garth songs. Cold Like That is one of them. It's like a really powerful song. You Wreck Me, the same. And then Tacoma almost has like this blue. It sounds like a country song, but he's almost singing it like it's a blues song. Like, it is so good. But coming in at number 11 is The Chase. It came out in 1992 and a certified diamond, which is of course 10 million copies. It's the 4th of his original 5 albums. Because everybody, including me, thinks his first 5 albums, if you had to pick a time period of his career, definitely the first 5 albums is probably his biggest. It's, by money standards, album sales standards, quality standards, everything. I think, if you were to, like I said, break it down, I think you would find that would be his biggest time period. Like I said, The Chase was the 4th of those. The singles from it included, like I just talked about, We Shall Be Free, which of course was a divisive song because of talking about free to love anyone we choose, and people always pick on that and that line instead of the overall message of just, of something he always says. Like he used to do these videos where he'd go live on Facebook, especially during COVID when there's nothing else to do. But he would always end every video with love one another. It's a simple message. He's not saying, oh, promote this lifestyle or not promote, it's just about love, and people turn it into hatred. It's so stupid. But Somewhere Other Than the Night, one of his songs that you don't hear much from him anymore, like as far as like concerts, he don't perform that live hardly ever. That's a great song about, a woman saying that she needs to know that she's loved other than just, in bed, basically. not to be crude, but basically, somewhere other than the night, she needs to hear I love you. Learning to Live Again, man, I love that song. That's another one that was a big hit, but isn't like one that's always, played often. And That Summer has got to be, it might be my favorite Garth Brooks song of all time. The song about the teenage kid, I'm assuming he's like 18, 19, went to work for an older lady and they ended up sleeping together. It's the first cougar in country music. No, but I love that. Had a good mix of like radio smash hits, some quirky songs in there too, and cowboy songs as well. And then the limited series were the first one where they came out with an extra song for each one. The limited series version has the song called Something with a Ring to It, which is kind of like a double metaphor type thing where, it has a ring to it, and a ring to it is in, because it says she wants something with a ring to it, so basically, she wants to get married. Trying to find my mouse on here, this stupid computer. All right, but we're going to move on to number 10. Number 10 is his latest album, Time Traveler. Came out in 2023. No sales figures of it because it was part of the third limited series thing, so it wasn't released standalone. And let's see. This is like one of his most country albums of all. If you listen to all the songs on it, it is like one of the most country of the country songs. And, he's known as, he's a crossover and pop, blah, blah, blah. But, this album is country. The only single from it was Rodeo Man, and it was a song co-written by Ronnie Dunn of Brooks and Dunn, and he actually does the song with him on it. One of Garth's, I don't want to call it tropes, but one of his, themes is cowboys and rodeos, and this just fits right in there. There's also a version of the David Allan Coe song, The Ride, the song he wrote about, getting picked up by Hank Williams Sr., but really good version. He actually wrote a third verse. I think it's third or might have been fourth. But he wrote a new verse to the song that kind of adds a little bit more detail to the song, which is really good. It don't ruin the song. I don't know if it makes it better or anything, but it doesn't ruin the song. Man, there's, like I said, some great songs. Pleasure in the Pain, talking about how needing to hear hurting songs, and sometimes there's pleasure in the pain, talking about putting on a Keith Whitley song because I want to hurt tonight. I mean, that song is one of his most stone cold country songs of all time. Like, and an album 2023 has no right to be stone cold country anymore. It's proven that you can still be country. And then what's the Another Man's Sky? That's a really good one. So it's a weird take. You don't hear much in music. Like, this guy's in love with his ex, and she's still in love with him, and she's like, we can be together. But he's like, well, no, the guy you're with now, like, he worships the ground you walk on. Basically, he loves you as much as I do, and I can't take another man's sky, is what he's saying. Like a weird, like I'm sure that happens in real life, but you don't hear that much in country. Like, oh, I love you, you love me. Don't worry, I'm not doing the Barney song. But I couldn't do this to this guy, and it's. Like I said, just something you don't hear much in music, but Garth has a way with songs of really bringing out stuff like that. It's two of the best songs he's ever recorded in 2023, I'm telling you. Number 9 is Fun. Came out in 2020. There's no sales information available for it, but it was originally supposed to be released in 2018, and he actually started putting out singles for it then, but just production things, and then COVID hit. It ended up being released towards the end of 2020. Singles included, the first one was All Day Long. Really good song. Stronger Than... It's about a guy saying, his significant other is stronger than him. And then big hit Dive Bar with the duet he did with Blake Shelton. It goes right up there with like a Friends in Low Places type song. And then he also released the single Shallow, which is, I think, a Lady Gaga song or something. But it's a duet he did with Trisha Yearwood. They really did a great job on that song. And then That's What Cowboys Do, another cowboy-themed song from Garth. Can't get enough of those. I really love those songs. You can tell he loves the cowboy songs, too. The first two songs, like I said, were released in 2018, Dive Bar in 2019, and then really good album. I like the song I Can Be Me With You. Has a just one of those songs that like you hear it one time and you're hearing it in your head the rest of the day and you already remember half the song already. Sometimes You Have to Die to Live Again is a real powerful song. And then speaking of powerful song, Where the Cross Don't Burn. It's a duet he did with Charlie Pride, and I believe it was Charlie Pride's last song he ever recorded. If not, it's one of the very last, because he ended up dying in 2020, I believe, not too long after this came out. But that song has a great message. Coming in at number 8 is Sevens. I should have had that at 7 no matter what. But yeah, it's 8 on my list. Came out in 1997, certified diamond, 10 million copies, obviously. And it's his first that came out in basically his second act of his career. If you consider some consider the first 5. The limited series goes to the first 6. So first 5 or 6. Anyway, his 7th album he just called Sevens, which by the way, Sevens is like favorite number. And singles from it included Long Neck Bottle, the song he did with Steve Wariner. That was a smash hit. I mean, that was all over the radio. She's Gonna Make It, which wasn't a very big hit, but it was still a good song. Two Pina Coladas was, of course, a smash. You Move Me, Do What You Gotta Do. But and then technically, the song In Another's Eyes had already been put out before the album came out. It was first on Trisha Yearwood's Greatest Hits album. So technically it's on this album, but the single for it came out while it was on another album. So it's not listed as a technical single from the album, but it is. I mean, come on. But everybody knows In Another's Eyes. I believe it was their first duet, and they knocked it out of the park. Hope they do an album of all duets one day. That'd be cool. Some really good songs on here, including I Don't Have to Wonder. It's a dark song about, basically, guys showing up to see his, the love of his life marry somebody else, and at the end, it's, pretty much he's jumping in the river afterwards, if you know what I mean. I don't want to say exactly. And then Fit for a King is a Christian song, but, that is so good. Coming in at actual number 7 is In Pieces. 1993, it was diamond, of course, 10 million copies. It was the 5th in his original 6 albums. Singles include Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up, that freaking song. You gotta get a breath. I'm choking myself to try to sing that, because from the start of the verse to the end of the verse, he doesn't take a freaking breath. And he sings this song on stage live. He doesn't lip sync it. I don't know how he has the wind to do this song, but he still does it in his live sets. American Honky Tonk Bar Association, which he don't really do much live anymore, but that's a fun song. Standing Outside the Fire, a really powerful song. The video is amazing to this song. It has a great message. One Night a Day, a bluesy type song. In fact, when he did this song in concert in one of his concert specials, he actually learned the saxophone just for this concert and played it beautifully. It wasn't it was good for a first time. It sounded like professional. Callin' Baton Rouge is definitely one of his biggest live songs. And then The Red Strokes, most people don't talk about it. I love that freaking song. And the video is amazing. It's got paint falling down all over him, paint coming out the bottom because he's playing piano. If you can find that video, watch it. It's great. And then I think the Cowboy song is probably one of his best songs ever. to end it ends the album. It's, by the way, the songs he puts last on his albums are always his favorites, going all the way back to the first album with the dance at the end. They're always either the most important or his favorites of the album. That's where he puts those. But the Cowboy song is just a stripped down cowboy song, basically. It's really good. Probably one of his purest country songs ever. And then the limited series version included the song Anonymous, which could be like I heard this first as a kid, and it's like writing an anonymous letter. You know, all of us in high school, we always, write the anonymous letter to our crush, for the ones that are too afraid to tell them. I shouldn't say all of us. Coming in at number 6, this will be controversial. Garth Brooks and the Life of Chris Gaines. Yes, it's the Chris Gaines CD. The so-called, he's trying to go pop. First of all, the CD was made for a movie called The Lamb, which never came out, sadly. It's about this fictional rocker from Australia, and he has a car crash, and all these things happen to him. But even if you take all that away and it just came out as an album itself, the album is good. I mean, I have it listed above some of his classic albums here. It's solid 6. It might even deserve to be above that. I'm not even joking. I mean, it was 2 times platinum. Came out in '99, and he went through people really thought, because he did a Saturday Night Live where he was as Chris Gaines. He did a concert special on NBC where he basically they were telling the stories in interviews, but then he did a concert, performed some the songs from the CD in full Chris Gaines character. So I think people were like, "Oh, he's trying to be this and that." It was just for a movie role, but the music is really good. It is more pop than country, obviously. A couple songs I think could have been country hits, but it's just this. Sorry, pardon the language. The CD kicks ass. I mean, it really does. Favorites from it are probably "That's the Way I Remember It." That could be a country song, I believe. "It Don't Matter to the Sun" was actually released as a single. "Main Street" is probably one of my favorite songs ever of Garth Brooks. So good. Like I said, "It Don't Matter to the Sun" was a single. Also, "Lost in You." He's thinking really high-pitched voice in that, wearing a wig with that's what people thought. He was just he completely lost it. Garth never needed to go pop to cross over. He was already crossing over with country music, and a lot of times when they have country songs cross over, they'll do re-recorded versions where they either take the steel guitar out and the fiddle out, or they'll put it way down in the mix where you can't hear it. Garth didn't change a thing, and his songs became smash hits on the pop charts. He didn't need to go pop. He was pop. I mean, and I say that in the nicest way possible. Not like his music was pop. He was popular. He was a country singer who was popular. He finally, he's one of those rare ones that are just, like Johnny Cash and guys of that nature where, everybody loved him. But now everybody seemed to have turned against him because of, stupid crap. I know not to get on a soapbox, but his politics and this and that. And I don't care what his politics are. Who cares? It's music. Come on. Anyway, like I said, great album. Number 5, we're in the top 5 now, is Scarecrow, 2001. It went 5 times platinum, and it was his final album before he retired the first time. Well, I should say the only time. He hasn't retired again. I'm sure he will someday, but singles from this were "Wrapped Up in You." Great song. It was also a Dr. Pepper, a different version of the song recorded for a Dr. Pepper commercial. And in the video, there's people dressed up as old people. You can tell it's makeup. And they're they start the thing they're beating blocks together and sweeping the floor. It's all making music, and Garth is getting off the tour bus. He's hearing all these people do this stuff, but it sounded like music to him. So him and his band just get on the porch and start doing music, and the old guys banging the blocks together. Me and my brothers had so much fun with that song. But like I said, it's also known as the Dr. Pepper song because he put out a version of that for a Dr. Pepper commercial. Squeeze Me In, another duet with Trisha Yearwood. Doesn't get a lot of attention, but it was a really good song. Thicker Than Blood was kind of a autobiographical song. Beer Run was a massive hit. The song he did with George Jones, that was a great song. And then Why Ain't I Running was the final single from that. Also includes his mega hit, When You Come Back to Me Again, which was featured on the Frequency soundtrack. I love that movie, Frequency, from the 90s. I think it was 90s or 2000, one of the two. But yeah, that song had already been out on that soundtrack, but he included it on this, which is really great. The Storm and Mr. Midnight, two darker songs, but some of his best stuff that he's ever done. Coming in at number 4 is Fresh Horses. Came out in 1995, and it was 8 times platinum. The final of his first 6 albums. Singles included from that, She's Every Woman, kind of his love letter to women, you know, basically saying the person he's with is just like all these things. The Fever, which was actually a rewrite of an Aerosmith song, basically about doing drugs. Garth basically rewrote it with a co-writer to equate the fever to not doing drugs, but the rodeo. So he did turn into a rodeo song, became a massive hit. I think it was an even bigger hit for him than Aerosmith. The Beaches of Cheyenne is one of his signature songs. I love that thing. The steel guitar in that, it just gets to me. And The Change, what a song that was. The video that went with it showed the Oklahoma City bombing, and of course he donated proceeds from the album, to that charities that were collecting for the victims of that horrible tragedy. But 2 other singles were It's Midnight Cinderella, which don't get a lot of play these days. That's a funny song. And then That Old Wind, which is a really good story song. Garth has some really good story songs, I'm telling you. Cowboys and Angels is a great album track from that. Great steel guitar. There's a lot of good steel guitar on this Fresh Horses album. The limited series version came with To Make You Feel My Love, which was, of course, a massive hit for him. It was originally a Bob Dylan song, but it was on the Hope Floats soundtrack and hadn't been released on any of his stuff, and he included it on the limited series. Now we're getting to the top 3. Coming in at number 3, his very first album, Garth Brooks, the self-titled album, 1989, Diamond. The singles from his very first song was Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old. Came right out of the blocks with a massive song on that one. If Tomorrow Never Comes, talk about massive. That song was huge. Not Counting You, which wasn't as big as the other ones, but I remember that was like the first song on the album, so it's the first thing you hear, and it comes at you, like, right at you. And then the final single was, the song he still says is his favorite song he's ever done, The Dance. Such a great meaning behind that song. And if you see the video, he literally tells you at the end, what he takes from that song. It's not just a song about losing your, someone you're with. It's just about life. And then some other favorites from this were Alabama Clay, another great story song, and Cowboy Bill, talk about story songs. And that was my dad's favorite Garth Brooks song. That's about a old cowboy that lives in town, and these kids always go to his house and hear his stories, and he's talking about he was, in the Texas Rangers and, saved the day, and all the parents would be like, he's just making up stuff. And then one day they go over there and he died, and they find him, clutching his badge and a letter that says Texas is proud, proving that, now even the parents are now saying, he was a hero, because the kids believed all the way. And like I said, that's my dad's favorite song of Garth Brooks. Such a great song. The limited series version had a song called Uptown, Down Home, Good Old Boy. It's a crazy song. It's about a rodeo guy who falls, and can't be in the rodeo anymore. But he was so famous that he used his image to sell stuff. So he's he's rich, but he can't do it anymore. You can find him every day at the bar. He's rich, but he's just one of us type things. And it's probably the most traditional album of his career, and it kicked his career off in a big way. Coming in at number 2, his second album, No Fences. 1990, it was Diamond. It sold 18 million copies. So it was his biggest actual seller, but I put it at number 2 over the one I put number 1. And this is the album with all the singles that came out with this. Could have been career songs for everybody. For anybody, I should say. They were massive hits for him, and just these are the songs that both people, when they think of Garth Brooks, they think of. First song out of the gate, Friends in Low Places, probably his most recognizable song ever. I still don't get tired of this song. You think it'd be played out by now, but I don't. Anytime this comes on, it's a sing-along. And of course, there's a third verse of this that he does live in concert that you just got to hear. It's on the double live, and anything live he's done, he does Friends in Low Places and does that third verse. Unanswered Prayers, a great song with a great message. Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House. I mean, that song is just right up there with the greatest of Garth songs ever. And then The Thunder Rolls. Of course, that has a third verse of its own. He does it live in concert. But I mean, that song caused so much controversy because of the video. It shows, domestic violence and then a wife pulling out a gun at the end. It actually got banned off of CMT and TNN. So they showed it on MTV, which just made it, Garth Brooks' first crossover song ever. And, and then actually his last single from that was Wild Horses, but it was actually only released as, this album came out in 1990. Wild Horses was released as a single in 2000 because he did a re-recorded version, which I'd love the actual re-recorded version, and you can't find it anywhere. So I actually paid like $20 for a CD single, a promotional one that was sent out to record labels sent out to radio stations to play. I actually found that just to get that version of that song. But anyway, Wild Horses is a really good song. Another good song on the album that wasn't a single was Victim of the Game. A great song. Trisha Yearwood actually recorded that for, I think, her debut album too. It wasn't a single for her either, but still a really good song. And then a limited series version with the extra song was a song called This Ain't Tennessee, which is basically, it's a guy who's living in LA, he's living the good life, he's rich, he's with this new woman, but he misses the woman he used to have, and living in Tennessee, that type of song is really good. This album made him into a star, and really, that class of 89, Alan Jackson, Travis Tritt, Clint Black. That was the so-called class of 89 where all those artists came out their first albums in. They were all like big stars, but then this one took Garth to like, above all them. And I'm not saying that I don't love them at all. I mean, that's definitely not the case. I could do a whole video on all of those guys, but this really took him to the top. But to me, my favorite Garth Brooks album of all time has to be Rope in the Wind. I love that freaking album. By the way, a lot of these, I should have mentioned like which ones that, almost all these in the top, 6 or 7, I like every single song on the album. But Rope in the Wind, 1991, his third album, it was Diamond, it sold 14 million. Only 14 million, not 18 million. It's like only 14 million. No, but first single out of the gate was Rodeo, of course, that classic Garth Brooks song. And then comes Shameless. Oh my God, this was my favorite song forever. And it's one of his more crossover songs, but if you listen to the very beginning, that steel guitar just hits like bang, like it tells you the song is country, but despite the steel guitar, it was still able to cross over in 1990, probably either 91 or 92, whenever the single was released. But I love Shameless. The story behind that song goes that Garth Brooks is part of one of those, you remember those, get a 5 CDs for a penny or something, those clubs, and then they send you one every month unless you cancel, and then you have to pay full price for them. Well, he was on the road and came home, and there was one of them CDs there. It was Billy Joel. I don't know if it's something he'd recently done or something, but that song was on it, and because he listened to the CD, and he called up Billy Joel. He's like, "Please, can I release this as a song?" And it became massive. Probably, like I said, Thunder Rolls and Friends in Low Places, got him there, but I mean, that song just kept it going. What She's Doing Now, a song he don't do live much anymore, but I love that song. And then Papa Love Mama, the song about the truck driver, his wife's cheating, so he finds her at the hotel and drives his truck through it. Dark song, but in the funnest way possible. And The River is, I think, the last single released from that song, and very poignant message to that. I think some other songs that could have been released, I think the whole thing could have been released as singles. You got a song called Cold Shoulder, such a great song. We Bury the Hatchet, that's a fun one there too. And then Burning Bridges is a really good one. I told this story in a recent podcast I did because it was when this album came out, but I own this on CD. My grandpa bought it for me right after it came out, but I didn't have a CD player at home, so I recorded it onto tape. And I found out later some family member or somebody stole my CD. But, I had this thing on tape and I played it over and over again. But, I freaking, as you can tell, I love Garth Brooks. This is bonus. I said 17. Is this 17 or 18? I got 18 written on there. This bonus episode something. We'll have the right title in the description. I do so many of these, I forget what number I'm on. But this is fun to talk about. Let me see. Wow, I kept it under an hour. I felt like I was talking forever. But this is so much fun to talk about Garth Brooks. You got any comments, favorite memories of Garth Brooks? If you guys seen him live, let me know. Let me know that experience, because I know how amazing he sounds on record, live. I can't imagine what it's like to be there and just get that whole experience. I wanted to go so bad. Man, especially, I remember my friend got to go, and that when he came in the 90's, and me and him were massive Garth Brooks fans, and he said he comes out of this thing in the stage, and it's like oh my God. And I thought maybe, because he would sometimes make up things, I thought maybe he was like just exaggerating, or he never went, was just making this stuff up. But I ended up seeing a concert, like somebody taped from the 90's, like on one of them big old big old video cameras they used to have, recorded the concert. And some of the stuff my friends said was actually there. And there was no internet then where people could have seen the video. So I apologize, Nick, wherever you're at. I completely believe you now that you went to that show, and I'm jealous as hell. No, but I love Garth Brooks, and supposedly there might be some new music coming out for him this year, so I'm probably not going to go back and do this. I'll probably put in parentheses favorite album 1989 to 2023, so people don't, and maybe when it comes out, I'll review the CD in a separate video and put, I don't really want to put it into the countdown, because you listen to a CD, you either, when it comes out, you either like really like it, oh, it's the best one ever, or I don't know if it's stacked, so I'll probably wait a year, literally a year after I hear it whenever it comes out, and see how it fits for me onto this list. But hopefully some new music. We haven't had any new music from Garth for about 2.5 years now, so looking forward to that if it happens. If not, hopefully if he does another tour, I can finally go see him, because, man, love to do that. But thank you guys for joining me. This has been a fun one. You can tell I'm passionate about this, and we'll see you on the next one.